Hello and welcome everyone to the latest episode of the Reverse Sweep Show. This is your host SS, and joining me as ever is my co-host AB. AB, the T20 World Cup has started and a lot of games already happening, 3 games every day. How have you made the start of the T20 World Cup, and are there other things that you want to gloat about?
Thanks for leading the conversation that side. There are so many things that I want to gloat about and brag about. And that is where I also want to talk about. There's so much happening in the cricketing world right now. We just started off with the Cricket World Cup. And I don't know how many people followed it, but the WPL just concluded. RCB won their second title. And that's where my predictions were absolutely bang on. We predicted at the start of the tournament that it will be RCB versus DC final and RCB to win the cup. DC, a fabulous team. They have reached the finals every time, if I'm not wrong, and lost it every time as well. Hard luck to them, but RCB winning their second WPL title. Smriti Mandhana, top scoring. Absolutely amazing performances by their players through and through, different players stepping up at different points of time. So that was one. And then who can forget the Under 19 World Cup and the blitzkrieg by Vaibhav Suryavanshi, 175 runs of 80 balls. And we'll talk a lot more about him in coming podcasts, coming episodes, coming
Coming
years,
decades.
decades. Yeah, so a lot happening. And then, of course, the T20 World Cup. The first day was yesterday, and what a day it was. The Associate Nations definitely pulling up and competing, and what amazing matches. Netherlands just dropped the match. That drop catch cost them, and India versus US also an amazing match. But yeah, that's about what I'm following. How about you, SS? What have you been following, and what are we going to discuss?
Yeah, I was following a lot of games leading into the T20 World Cup, which players are looking good, which teams are looking good. The series in Pakistan, West Indies playing games here and there. And yesterday, I think, as I put up a story on our Instagram as well, I mean, absorbing games, the hitting and the catching did let the Associate Nations down, but they're competing really well. I mean, we're just following Nepal versus England. Nepal going pretty well, so they are making a match out of it. And even, I mean, okay, Afghanistan is no more an associate country, but they should in other way in other world might have even won the game against New Zealand if they have probably bowled a bit better and maybe scored maybe 10-15 runs more. So it's looking good. And India got a mini collapse in, but that's out of the way now, and we don't know what will be the status of India-Pakistan game still on the 15th. But looks like India will make it unscathed to the Super 8, and this is where we are going to talk more about today. So, AB, for the benefits of listeners and viewers, what is today's topic all about?
Yeah, so leading into the World Cup, I think it's a unanimous feeling that India are the favorites in this World Cup. The way they have been playing in the last 24 odd months since the last World Cup, it's just they have demolished teams everywhere across the world. So we thought we'll discuss on if India are the favorites, what would their road to the cup look like, and the way we will discuss this is more around seeing. I mean, as you said, India should reach the Super 8s unscathed, but if they reach the Super 8s, what are the combinations that might play out? What are the different scenarios that India might face? Then look at what might happen in the semifinals and also then the finals. So that is what today's episode is about. So I think we should start without any further delays. Assess, should we start off with the Super 8s?
Yes, indeed. I think Super 8, it's very interesting. There are seedings in place as well. And looking at the groups, looks likely that the seeds would rule the roost, as you would like to say. And I think looking at the seedings and how India's group could look like, we could have India, Australia, South Africa, and West Indies, probably the 4 teams going into it. And India is going to play a lot of games in India, of course. Still, they don't have to play in India in certain situations. Australia, I mean, just tailor the tape for the 3 teams that could be. Australia not having their frontline pace attack, Stark having retired, Cummins and Hazelwood not being fit. Their batting is not really clicking. The youngsters that they have blooded have not been clicking. They lost badly against Pakistan. They had to play games on consecutive days as well, so wasn't much time to adapt. Probably there's still an Ashes and BBL hangover as well for their players to adjust to Asian conditions. South Africa, I mean, on the other hand, have looked really good. I think in 2-3 years there has been resurgence and renaissance of South African cricket, all format. I mean, they're the WTC champions. They beat India and India as well. They reached the last World Cup final as well, successfully hosting the SAT20, bringing a lot of players who are growing their game. They are in form as well. They lost badly versus India in India, but overall they are looking really good. And the West Indies, the Maverick team, going through all kinds of things. Shimron Hetma had seen wouldn't even make the World Cup again somehow, but he made it and made a quite mature innings yesterday in the first game. Their bowling seems to be a bit shabby, but the top six looks really explosive. So on their day, they can make a lot of runs. So with that context, AB, with the four teams, including India, what do you think? How is it going to all pan out? Which game could become the difficult one? Which would be easy? Where do you see India finishing?
Yeah, I think when you say that the predetermined seeding might actually be how the tournament proceeds, I completely agree. If you look at India's group, it is India and Pakistan who are the front runners from that group. I think even Australia qualifies from their group. I don't really see much of a challenge that they might get there. If you really look at it, then it's Ireland, Oman, Sri Lanka, Zimbabwe in their group. So Australia also qualifies. So definitely finding their place in India's group. Then, yeah, even for the other teams, I don't think West Indies falters. Not after yesterday's performance. South Africa also qualifies. So these are the four teams who actually are going to be grouped most likely in the Super Eights. And if I look again, India, as we have spoken multiple times, are the favorites in this group, and we would actually expect them to top the group. And I think they might also go unscathed in this round as well. But definitely, I think if one team is to give them a competition, that would definitely be South Africa. Given how they have been playing their cricket, I think South Africa on their day, they have a very, very balanced attack. I think they can win that match against India. With their bowling, I think Marco Jansen definitely with both the ball and the bat. Last time it was Rohit Sharma who completely took Marco Jansen down, but
Yeah,
I think Marco Jansen also has matured a lot over the years. He has also gotten a lot of experience playing in India. I think he'll be a definite key player for South Africa. And then, of course, QDK, Markram, Miller. No class in this time around, but I think
Rickerton
Devil
and
Brevis.
Stubbs back in the team. Devil Brevis in
Yeah,
great form as well. They
yeah.
have hitters everywhere.
They have they have very strong hitters, and if they have to compete versus India, they need that power hitting, and they have tons of it. So I think like to like, hitting to hitting, bowling to bowling. I think South Africa is the one team which comes closest to giving India very strong competition. So I think in the Super Eights, if one team is going to give India a run for their money, it's going to be South Africa. Australia, although I feel is a very strong team, they also have some very strong hitters. I still feel they are a bit depleted in their bowling attack, as you rightly put. Pat Cummins is out. Is Josh Hazelwood fit now? Is he going to be
No, he's
playing?
also out.
Yeah, then their bowling is extremely depleted without Cummins, Hazelwood, and Stark. I think the one bowler who can make a difference is going to be Zampa if he can spin a web around
Yeah,
our batters and get those middle overs. But otherwise, I think the way Australia can win versus India, and I think Jared Kimber put it very rightly when he spoke about the Australian women's cricket team, was you cannot get into a match of arm wrestle versus them. The same
mm,
thing, if Australia gets into a match of arm wrestle with this Indian team, I think India wins because of the depth they have, the power hitting they have, and the balance that they have. But the way for Australia to win would be if they completely blow India apart. Say a Mitch Marsh and Travis Head partnership to open. If they score 100 uh, at a rate of what, 12, 13 runs and over, I think that's how they can go and win the match versus us, put us in a lot of pressure. So I think Australia are the close second team that can give us a competition. Of course, the West Indies match I expect us to win
yeah.
and win without much of a trouble. But yeah,
I
that's
think
that's my take.
I think Australia is an interesting one because, of course, they have players, and a lot of them had a lot of practice playing BBL. But I think players like Josh Inglis, Cooper Connolly, Mitch Owen, they didn't look very comfortable in Pakistan. Pitches will be a bit different, but they don't seem to be in finding that form as well, quick turnaround as well. So they will be heavily dependent on the two guys that you mentioned, Mitchell Marsh and Travis Head. Of course, on their day they can smash it, but I think more realistically, 8 to 9 times out of 10, India should be able to take care of this Australian team. Whatever said and done, how Indian team has done, how they are shaping up, they have got one collapse out of their way already with yesterday. So I think I would favor them. And I think a lot can be figured out by how Australia does it in the group stage as well. Are they winning comfortably enough? Are their players getting into form? If they can achieve that, maybe it will be a good game. But I still feel I think India will be stronger. West Indies, it will be a maverick thing. That will be an upset of ages, I think. West Indies, as I said, top six looks really good. It's their bowling that's been struggling because I followed at least the highlights versus the series versus Afghanistan. They did won one game, but their bowling was really struggling because Afghanistan were making runs reaching 180, 185 with only 2, 3 wickets down. And that's where they struggle. They got Holder back, Shama Joseph as well, Gutkesh Moti, Akilo Sen. I mean, these are decent players. I mean, decent bowlers as well. But I think as a bowling unit, they don't command. And as batting as well, Shimron Hetmeyer has to play a huge role because Brandon King and Shea Hope, they wouldn't command that 150 strike rate. So they need Shimron Hetmeyer to follow and Sharfin Rutherford, Rovman Powell, Romario Sheffield. They have that hitting. Can they be consistent? I don't think against Indian pitches, against Varun Chakravarti and Aksar Patel likes, they will struggle. So I think Australia and West Indies, it's quite clear we should be winning. South Africa will be challenging, but because we have had the sample set of 5 games that happened in India, so we have got a really clear indicator coming from there. So in all likelihood, I would say there's an 80% chance that we win all the 3 games and comfortably reach the semifinals.
Yeah, I think a fairly interesting stage that is going to be. And I think, although I'm very confident that we make it to the semifinals, but it will be a good test of what this team does when it is under pressure.
I have
So
a
yeah, it will be a
hypothetical
good.
question for you, AB. Do you think in the 3 games, because we don't have so many venues in the T20 World Cup, there are only select venues that are going to be there. Do you think when Bumrah is also back fit, that we actually play like a third spinner in form of Kuldeep? Or do you think that it's always going to be Bumrah with most likely Arshdeep with, with Hardik and Dubey?
I don't think Indian team will do a Bumrah plus Hardik as their frontline pacers in this World Cup, unless we play in a very slow track in
Like
Colombo, a very
Chepauk
slow and dry.
one, or probably Colombo or Chepauk maybe could be
Yeah,
likely.
probably. Although I think in most cases India will play Bumrah plus Arshdeep plus Hardik as their at least first choice lineup. So I think that is how it is going to play out. I know back in UAE, India did a lot of Bumrah plus Hardik as their opening bowling combination, but I don't think that will happen in this World Cup. And we also saw a lot of that in as a proof of that in the 5 match T20I series that we played
Yeah.
against New Zealand. In none of the matches we just did one frontline pacer plus Hardik. So I
Yeah.
think that is the same thing which will continue in the World Cup, unless we play in a very slow and dry track in say Colombo or maybe in Chepauk. But I think even in Chepauk we'll go with
I think the
two frontline
batting
pacers.
attack looks quite stable. Don't see any changes if there is obviously some injury or some illness. And I also believe even though Siraj picked up wickets yesterday, he was a late entrant into it. He's a big trier. He's experienced at the highest level. But I think because they've trusted Arshdeep, brings in the left arm angle, can swing both sides as well. I think yes, most likely it will be Bumrah and Arshdeep. That was always in the plan for the US game as well. It's just that things fell in a different way, and that's why Siraj was playing. So yeah,
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I also hope that Sky continues batting at number 4, because I think
yeah.
India's number 4 is the only spot that he has been able to crack. He's probably one of the most non-adapting batter ever that I've seen.
He has his
So
niche, but I think he's in tremendous form now fully. Yesterday was a really, really responsible as well as full of intent innings. He was started slow and then he was able to accelerate. And I think he's looking really fine form at number 4.
yeah, and with that, let's move on to the next stage of the T20 World Cup, which is the semifinals. So let's see what is the potential Super 8 group on the other side, and let's take a like punt at who the semifinalists
Hmm.
could be. So the preceded other group, which they call as the Y group, is England, New Zealand, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. And what's your take as who is going to be in that group? Do you see any changes from the seats which are predefined? Of course, Afghanistan lost against New Zealand. I thought that was one potential area where
Yeah.
New Zealand could have been out and Afghanistan made it to the Super 8s. But what's your take, and who do you think India faces in the semifinals?
Yeah, Afghanistan was one area. Bangladesh, of course, is not playing. I was really interested in Sri Lanka as well, because Sri Lanka last year under Sana Jayasuriya was showing some green shoots in white ball cricket, but now I think I was just reading stats preview before the Ireland game, which is going to start in a short while. They have had a losing record in last 4 5 calendar years in T20Is. They haven't been winning even at home as well. They have a negative record at some of the home venues as well. They lost badly versus England as well. So I think Sri Lanka, even though I want to give them a chance because they have the spin attack as well, I think their batting is a bit shallow as well. Pathum Nisanka, their leader so called, has accelerated, but overall he's still strikes at 127 or something. They're still fiddling around with the middle order as well. A lot of questions. So I think Sri Lanka, even though I would have wanted, probably they will finish third maybe in some scenarios, but I think they will not make it. Comes down to New Zealand, England, and Pakistan. I think last 10 years has told us never count out New Zealand. They find a way to somehow make it to the deep stages. But how? Because Pakistan, because of the fact that they're going to play all their games in Sri Lanka, they have basically selected their squad accordingly, and they are coming with some kind of momentum as well after winning that series against Australia. They beat Australia after 7 years or something in a T20I game or something. So they look good. It's just about their batting, how much they can hit, but their bowling looks conducive for Sri Lanka, especially if it remains dry and slow and low. And I
I really like where you're going with this one, SS. I can see that direction
yeah,
already,
yeah,
raising
I
so
think
many what ifs.
Pakistan, I just don't see them winning 3 games on a trot. Never. So they don't top the group. I think this is going to be a very interesting group. I think teams will finish on 2 wins max, and it will come down to net run rate at some stage, either between the first and the second or between the second and third. So I will pick England and Pakistan to go through from this group.
So England first and Pakistan second,
Correct.
and India first and South Africa second, which means
Correct.
India versus Pakistan semis is what you are forecasting. Does
Yes.
that match even happen?
I think it will happen. It will happen. It will happen.
Okay, and if it does happen, then how do you see that match playing out? What are the key players to look out for, key themes to look out for? Can Pakistan even compete versus India in a semi-final? Because we saw Asia Cup 3 matches, 3-0 to India. How do you think Pakistan turns out in this match?
I think the Asia Cup final they competed pretty well. Like Verma played one of the best knocks under pressure from not such an experienced player and stole the game away from Pakistan. Pakistan will have the advantage that if the game happens, it will be in Sri Lanka. So they will be much more used to the conditions than an Indian team would be because the Indian team would be floating around. And there are differences between Indian and Sri Lankan pitches. We all know that for sure. I'm just concerned about Pakistan's hitting. If Saibzada Farhan doesn't get to a flyer, if Power gets stuck, they have a ceiling of 150 to 160. They have the bowling to compete with versus India. Even though India might go gung ho, just shifting from India to Sri Lankan pitches and going just gung ho might not work out for many players. There will be one or two players because India bats till number 8. We saw yesterday Sky standing up. In more likelihood, there will be 2 to 3 Indian players standing up. So we will be able to tackle Pakistan's bowling, but I'm not so sure about Pakistan's batter being able to take it to Indian bowling, especially if Bumrah is
Yeah,
fit.
I think, and Babar playing at number 4, that role of a sheet
Doesn't make
anchor in a
sense to me.
T20I. I think that's from T20I philosophy 5 years, 10 years back.
Yeah, I expect Mike Hessen to maybe adjust over the T20 World Cup as well through the Super 8. I'm actually going to do a hot take right now, and just because of conditions and can get stuck and how confident we are, this is like 2023 ODI World Cup hyperbolic now, almost that India is winning all the games and India will win the World Cup. I am not that gung ho. I will place it more like a 55 in India favor. I'm not being that India will just blow Pakistan away in the semifinals. I don't think so. It will become quite close because Pakistan will be really primed for this and ready to fight versus India, especially after all the political haggling.
And of course, the fact that this match will, if it happens, will happen in Colombo, where Pakistan would have, in Colombo, where Pakistan would have been very much used to the conditions. And India, having played most of their matches in Indian venues, will be traveling to Sri Lanka and probably the first or the second match that they play
It's like the
against
reverse of
the Champions
the
Trophy.
correct. So that's going to be a big factor. It's something that we cannot ignore.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if the first match between India and Pakistan doesn't happen, India might play their first match in semis in a different country, in a different condition.
Maybe that was a
Uh,
tactic all along. That was playing 4D chess almost.
yeah, a tactical U-turn.
Yeah, tactical U-turn.
Yeah. Yeah, but
But uh, on the other side,
yeah,
I feel South Africa versus England, that would also be very interesting. So we would love to know your thoughts on that. I'm just thinking about what should I say on that.
yeah, I think we'll get to that. Even before that, I want to ask you another question.
Mm.
As an Indian supporter, would you rather face because see, it's a toss up between England, Pakistan, and New Zealand for the semi spots. Would you rather play Pakistan in the semis, or would you rather play New Zealand in the semis? New Zealand have long been our kryptonite and ICC playoffs eliminators. So, which team do you take as an Indian supporter?
As an Indian supporter, I feel New Zealand have got lesser to toolkits to hurt us. I mean, they're batting, they can make runs. They were making a lot of runs in the bilateral series as well. I mean, yesterday in the Hindi comms, within the Sehwag was also saying that they were making big runs because Akash Chopra was like, Afghanistan can beat New Zealand. And it did happen that Afghanistan can beat New Zealand. But Virender Sehwag was like, but New Zealand makes big runs. And even today, they were able to chase down a target which Afghanistan generally doesn't lose on. So they have that. But against Indian bowling, maybe they can, but India will also attack. So it's very close. But because India's game against Pakistan will be in Colombo and New Zealand, it will not be. I will say I will take playing New Zealand in the semifinals.
Honestly, because my take on that is the opposite. I would say Pakistan is like a 142, 170, 180 team.
Yeah.
India is like a 162 or 300 team.
Even on a bad day, we were making 161 yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. So I think to that extent, I'm much more comfortable facing Pakistan because even if we are in that 160, 170 zone, well, it will be a tough chase for Pakistan given the way they bat. Versus New Zealand, the reason I feel even they are fairly well placed is because ultimately, if India New Zealand semi happens, that will happen in India. And I think New Zealand is not that far behind when it comes to skill sets to compete in the Indian conditions. They have the likes of some very, very experienced players. Mitch Santner, we were talking about him off air, the kind of impact that he has had for the New Zealand side, both with the ball and with the bat. Matt Henry, almost Bumrah-esque record in the white ball format. They have Jacob Duffy. So they have good bowling attack. They
If
have
they can
a
get
really good batting
Bracewell
attack.
in place of Nisham, if the track supports and Rachin Ravindra gets in form, they have players everywhere. Finn Allen makes a lot of pass runs in BBL, and Tim Seifert is looking great form as well. I mean, they are looking like a really good outfit. And this is what New Zealand does. They slowly keep going, keep going, keep going, and
And they
then
peak at the right time.
they pick at the right time. But then, are you suggesting that there's a more likelihood of India playing New Zealand and it will be Pakistan not qualifying from Super 8 group?
I think even for me, the going in prediction is that Pakistan qualifies because ultimately New Zealand will be playing Pakistan in Sri Lanka in the group stages, and that's where it gets a bit tricky for them. So I have a hunch that they might not survive the group stages, the Super 8 stages, that is, and it's Pakistan who actually qualifies. So yeah, India versus Pakistan semis is what we feel, and on the other side, it is South Africa versus England is what we feel, and that's going to be such an interesting match because England can have their days when they do well, when they can just go ahead of the match, take the game away from you with the likes of Harry Brook,
They've got
Jacob
hitters. I
Bethel,
mean, Will
so many
Jacks,
players,
Phil
Phil Salt,
Salt,
Joss Butler.
Josh Butler, Tom Banton, Harry Brook, Jacob Bethel. So I think they have got hitters everywhere. Sam Curran is one of the world's best T20I performers around the world.
Jofra Archer, express pace, the X factor in the bowling attack.
They've got a
They've
left
also
armor
got
as well.
one of the best spinners in the world going around, and Adil Rashid.
Yeah, they've got Luke Wood, left armor as well. They've got Liam Dawson as well. I think that they have tried to make the best 11 out. And I think that's why I was picking England to reach the semi-finals and maybe as the number one team Super 8. They are running quite close against Nepal, by the way. 30 ball, 60 runs needed by Nepal, and there are still 7 wickets in there. But I think they have got new batters now probably coming in, one of them. So, I mean, things can happen in T20 World Cup. Last year, Nepal ran South Africa really close as well. But I think the seedings will follow in the place as well.
Yeah. So what I although feel that South Africa is a very balanced team, and if I have to pick one, it would be South Africa favorites against England in this World Cup. And yeah, that means that it can potentially be a India versus South Africa
The
final
rematch.
again rematch. But yeah. So if it's a rematch, what do you think, SS? How can it play out? Like, what's your sense? Is it going to be India versus South Africa, or do
Yeah,
you say India
I was
versus
just
England?
thinking on this. I think yes, most likely India, and because this is our road to the final. But even though my from a prediction angle as well, I think India does win whoever they play, New Zealand or Pakistan. Most likely Pakistan. South Africa, England could be a very interesting semi-final, by the way. But I think South Africa have gone over the hump in recent times of losing big games in big tournaments, and I think they're just a touch more balanced and better from a bowling perspective as well than England. So I think India South Africa final will happen, and the final will be in India, and it will be interesting. I mean, of course. But again, judging by how much these guys have played cricket against each other, there might be, some new entrants in either the team. But I will go with that. The current 11 that India is playing with Bumrah back would be the most likely 11 to play. And then it will be just a matter of making sure that we put up a great score on the board. We follow the intent that Gautam Gambhir and the team has instilled and Surya has instilled. And one of our big hitters will come good. We will make a big score. And if that's the case, then we have, I think, the bowling to curtail down South Africa. And even if South Africa makes 180, 190, I think we should be able to cross it. So I think I will be very confident against South Africa in the final, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I also kind of agree with you on that. South Africa versus England, I think South Africa should be able to pull through. They're also better players of spin bowling than England.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be very helpful for them in this World Cup, specifically because it's in subcontinental conditions. And then India versus South Africa finals. Again, I feel we are a much more balanced and experienced side. We have hitters through and through. Like, I think even if I look at it at a person to person level, man to man level, I think our opening partnership is a much more explosive partnership than even South Africa's. Abhishek
Yeah.
Sharma, when he takes the game away, he's just a few yards ahead of the South African openers as well. And Sky's back in form. Hardik Pandya in the middle order with all that balance. I think that is one place which South Africa still lacks. Marco Jansen is still not at that level. But yeah, I definitely think India will be the favorites there. But let's dig a bit deeper, SS. I'll put you on spot. If
Yeah.
you are the Indian captain and win the toss on that day in the finals, what do you select? Like, you want to bat first, bank on your batters to score at 200 plus, or you want to chase and take the game deep and absorb pressure?
Bat first. I mean, you will make runs. I mean, okay, practice game is never a good
Not
indicator.
not learning from the 2023 World Cup.
No, I think you can look back on the last T20 World Cup final. We were able to put pressure on South Africa and
Yeah,
choke them at the very
absolutely.
end. The practice game also, Ishan Kishan looked really great against Nokia and Log. We made 240 runs against South Africa and were able to win by 30 runs. Okay, there were a lot of rotations around. So I think, yeah, I think it will all depend on the surface. It's going to be probably Ahmedabad again and the black soil and all those kind of things. But I think India will do its study, but they look good. They've also played lot bigger T20I stakes games than the South Africa team. That's a big difference as well. We played the Asia Cup as well, won with 80% of our efficiency, people say, because we were not at absolute best, but we were winning and won a high pressure game versus Pakistan in the final as well. So I think all in all, I feel that it will be a decision on the pitch. If the pitch is the pitch that is a normal Indian pitch, bat first, make runs, put pressure, and then you will win. That's not a worry. Dew can happen. Dew can definitely happen. I think Varun will struggle a lot with it because Aksar, I think, manages quite well with the dew as well. But I think the ball comes nicely on the bat as well. It will be a factor for sure, and that will decide how late the dew comes in and all that. I'm equally comfortable with us chasing or batting first. I just like batting first in the final. You just put runs. I think 2023 World Cup we just got stuck. In other cases, it has worked well for us. So why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think ingredients are there for India to go all the way. We have been saying that for almost 1 year now, and they've never disappointed in any bilateral series or in Asia Cup for that matter. And everyone is back in form. We also got the collapse away as well. The next 3 games will allow us to, mature and get into the tournament in a good spirit before we go into Super 8. Tournament is still long. Things can happen. That's why we follow sports. That's why we watch cricket and love. But I think if you ask any fan who has been following the T20I game in the last couple of years will say that India, whoever they play, especially South Africa as well in the final, which is again a very likelihood, we should come out on the right side. Okay, guys, with that, we are at the end of the
With
episode.
Rafa Nadal
Games
retiring,
looking
we're
grossing so
diving
far
into
in
the
the
big three
T20I
of
World Cup,
tennis:
and we'll keep following
Federer,
and bringing you
Nadal,
more such
Djokovic,
content
and
on the
finding their
World Cup.
perfect
Till
cricketing
then,
counterparts
bye bye,
for
and
the
keep following
current
us on
bottom of our
Instagram and
scoreboards.
YouTube.